Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Welcome to all the guests. Still in Chicago, making our way to New York, to Stamford, Connecticut, Bezer Hashem for the Shabbaton. Tomorrow, Shir is going to be right here, same time, and Bezer Hashem on Thursday morning, I'm off to New York. As we are doing in the last 3 very difficult weeks, we start off the Shir with the Kapitel Tehillim. Today we're going to start off with Kapitel Kuf Lamed. Everybody together. Shir Amalo Ismi Mamakim Kirosicho Adonai Adonai Shemo V'Kordi Yenos Dachakashuvo Islikoi Dachanunoi Im Avoinoi Istishmor Yo Adonai Miyamoi Kimcho Aslicho Leman Tiborei Kivisi Adonai Kivso Nafshi V'Dvoroi Cholti Nafshi Ladonai Shemrim Laboiker Shemrim Laboiker Yachel Yisrael El Adonai Kim Adonai Chesed V'Arbei Moifidus V'Hu Yivdes Yisrael Mikol Lavonisa Acheinu Kol Beis Yisrael Anisurim B'Tzoro V'Ashivya Hoim Dem Bein Bayom U'Bein Bayabosho Hamokim Yirachim Aleim V'Yitzim Mitzor Levacho U'Mefel Loiro U'Meshiv Legulo Ashto Bagalov Zman Korib B'Rimar Amen. Again, the shir is Lili Nishmas, all those who are nifter, for the refuah of all the chaylim, for the quick release of all the hostages, and that tzlacha of the chayalim on the border. And there were a few tragedies today, so we shouldn't hear for any more tzaras. It should be a quick geula. It should be better than before, Be'ezer Hashem. We have a very, very geshmak daf today, but before the geshmak daf, there's a number of announcements. So first of all, we have different siyum taking place. There's a Mesechtes Kiddushin and Seder Noshim siyum. I believe this is in London. There's sushi whiskey buffet, and there's an early bird over there. So if you're in London, go check it out. And now for the most very anticipated raffling off 3 rooms. The value of a room is $1,900, I believe. 3 of them. There were, I think, 300 tickets sold at $80. All the money obviously is going directly to tzedakah. And here are the winners. Here we are. Wow. Baruch Weinreb. That's winner number 1. $1,900 for Baruch Weinreb. Well, I'm not saying that. There's another one. Anybody know Baruch Weinreb? Yeah. Shalom Gelbman. See you there, Be'ezer Hashem. And finally, this is Emerson stuff for voice saying. Jonathan Stefansky. Wow. Rigged. Wow. But Jonathan Stefansky, I don't have. He's going to I believe he's in America. Is that thing still going? The what is it called? The halacha program. No. The OU Smichas Chaver program. He said he's going. He comes to the share every single day. He's a second cousin of mine. I wouldn't rig it for a second cousin. The first cousin is one thing. Second cousin, wow, but it's unbelievable. Okay, so hopefully we'll see Jonathan Stefansky in Shabbos. Givaldic. Okay, Rabbi Isai MDY Toronto is partying with Aguda Daf Yomi Commission in Toronto citywide siyum this Sunday. First time we're making a citywide siyum, and it promises to be an amazing evening of Achdus and Torah, true representation of MDY. Daf Yomi participants and Magid Shir from across the city will join together, sign celebrate Simchas Torah together as Am Echad. We expect over 400 men and women from across the city. Plus, there will be a special musical performance together with the Grand Suda. Rebelli would love you to join as a keynote Ishkoyach. Ari Blau, Mayor Planko, MDY Toronto reps. See you there in Toronto. Elliot Samuels, dear Rebelli. I currently live in the 5 towns and I'm 15 years out of yeshiva. Since that time, I've consistently done an Amud a day, selecting Mesechtes in random order as opposed to the normal Seder. I learned 2.5 blat during the week and Chazer over Shabbos and Sunday with Tosfos. Very nice. As work life got busier and as my family grew, I decided it was time to move to Daf Yomi and forgo my Eon learning over the weekend. I listened to One Maggid Shir for a few years until a few months ago when I came across this shir. I absolutely love it, and it gives me a new sense of excitement to learn. Even when I do that by myself on Shabbos or over the 2-day Yontif, I'll always listen to your shir afterward as well, since I know I now feel like I've not done the daf properly if I did not listen to your shir. You hear that, new guys? I finished everything my cotton shkolm chagiga and about to finish Saita with you. I think it's now time for me to learn what the Olam is learning, and considering I have not learned Baba Kama or Baba Metzia, starting Baba Kama this coming Matzah Shabbos would be the perfect start. So we're actually starting Baba Kama on Friday. That's when I'm giving the first shir on Baba Kama. As it turns out, I was supposed to have been Eretz Yisrael for Simcha, cancel the trip. Should be a beacon of light, time of darkness of Klal Yisrael, schus learning of the entire MDY family. And Hashem grant us all speedy Shua. I look forward to the next time when Eretz Yisrael can join your live shir. I have a great idea for this guy. Since he canceled his ticket to Eretz Yisrael, he should use that money and come for the Shabbaton. Thank you for all you have done for me and all of your listeners. Elliot Samuels. Yishkoyach. Rabbi Yisai, my brother Moti Markowitz made Sheva Bruchas in his house, but couldn't start the Sheva Bruchas until he finished the Shir with Eli Stefansky. Here goes. Doing the daf during Sheva Bruchas. Stanley Fireman. This is a beautiful email. If you were thinking, maybe you come for Shabbos. I must admit that I was not planning on going to this spectacular Shabbaton. This is from Stanley Fireman. I'm by nature a procrastinator. One who says I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and my motto then becomes, oh well, maybe next time. That changed when my beloved wife said we're going. Now the history and background. My wife is an avid OU Nach Yomi follower. It seems that often while I listen to her belly, she's listening to either Nach Yomi or Weekly Parsha. I've often noticed that there are times that she pauses her shir in order to listen to what Rebelli has to say about any particular subject. How she knows when to listen is a mystery to me, but it continues to amaze me. It was she who completed a vacation and paid for the honor and privilege to Mirz Hashem attend this Kiddush Hashem event. When we last visited our daughter Meir and son-in-law Shamshi, my wife was determined to meet Rebelli. I said, maybe next time. She said, now. I reluctantly went across the street to the Stefansky apartment. Fortunately and cordially, his wife greeted us. My wife, sorry to barge in and bother you, she said. Can I just meet your husband? He came to the door. She looked up at him, and to my surprise, could not say a word. My immediate thought was, I wish I could do that. Of course, I'm kidding, but the point I'm trying to emphasize was so often has been emphasized in the shir and the amount of Akarsat Toiv I have. Her always about supporting my learning and making sure I keep up with the daf. Rabbi Yisrael, what he's trying to say is, and I said this from day one, that the Shabbos is about the women of MDY, the women that support us. We want to give back to them. We're going to talk a lot about it, and we have programs for them. And Memela, it's a great thing to bring your wife there, and if you're a wife, push your husband to come. We got to start the shir, so I'm just going to skip through this. Time living, we can soak up the power of the daf. While so much is in doubt, confused, fearful, we have community getting close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with our daily learning. I owe this chus to rebellion, his power Torah. With that being said, I want to publicly thank my dear wife for being the backbone of all my Torah. We both look forward to this opportunity and ecstasy of Torah learning to show the world the power of the daf and the power of Torah. Stanley Fireman, Yishkoyach. Oh, one last thing, Fischl Gross. And I have to say this because he had a Golden Dove alert. He's whatever. I'm not going to go into Golden Dove. Those who don't know. But Mazel Tov on the birth of baby girl to Rabbi and Mrs. Shirley Stern. Mazel Tov to grandparents, Moshe and Indy Stern, Fischl and Sarah Lee Gross, great grandmother, Mrs. Fanny Bornstein and Miss Beverly Gross, and Mrs. Rezel Snow. May we continue to see Yeshua Simchas and Klal Yisrael. Looking forward to greeting the Chevra, old and new, at the Shabbos of Achtos. Listen to this, Rabbi Yisrael. The reason why I'm reading this because I love Fischl. He's a very big part of the shir. But on his own, he made an initiative in Baltimore to bring more people to Torah in schos of what's going on in the Matzav in Eretz Yisrael. Right now, over 60 people signed up to start Baba Kama in the shul Ner Tamid and Tiferes Yisrael. 2 shuls. And he's not going to stop until he gets it to 100. So it's a tremendous thing, a tremendous schos that he has. It's not the first time he's done things like this. Can you imagine? 60 new people to start Daf Yomi. 60. It's not a small number. So, and we have to think to ourselves also, What are we doing? Like we all want to do something. So we say a kapitel tehillim real quick after shalom. That's what we're doing for the war. What are we seriously going to do? A serious change in ourselves because of what's going on in the world. I mean, Akash Baruch Hu is sending us messages. It's this guy, the Yemens, the this, the that. It's from all sides. It's here in America. It's in all cities. The tremendous anti-Semitism. What are we going to do right now to change the matzav? Not just, I'm going to walk out in the middle of the tehillim at the end of the shul and keep on going weiter. And what are you doing? I think to add Torah to your life is one of the best things you could do. And if you already have too much Torah, so to speak, so bring somebody else to learn Torah. But we got to do something. Or, what is it called? J-Ben, what is it? Just be a mensch. Okay, you can increase mental kind of clients. So you can do something. Do something. My boy say, last opportunities to join the Shabbos. I'm really looking forward to meeting people. It's going to be a big chizuk for me, a big chizuk for everybody that's there. It'll be a big chizuk for yourself. If you haven't decided yet, do it. Do it. Do it. It's a celebration of Seder Nashim, celebration of half a Shas, celebration of Masechtas Kiddushin, celebration of Torah. The Masechta sponsor with Lakin Levy found. This is one of the longest dialogues going into Shir. It's almost 12 minutes. Lakin Levy families live in New Jersey because Torah Nachtas are the best gula. The Masechta sponsor for the unity of Am Yisrael. The Paras HaChodesh, Hatzlach L'Schus, Yosef Meir ben Rochel, and Yidden worldwide. Paras HaChodesh, L'Nishma Zechariah ben Moshe, and L'Nishma Zechariah bas Yosef. Paras HaYoim, I don't know what this says. Ditor A. Ishalig, security alert. Hein am levada yishkoin ubagoyim leischashov limud Torah ken Chicago shvarim loy. I have what he's saying. I just have, yeah, because I guess yesterday I said about the Chicago Bulls. He's saying Chicago. This must be. I'm serious. I just have. This must be from Justin Ivry, the guy that likes to play with words. Okay. Chicago Shvarim Loy. I said I'm not going to the Bulls game. What is he going crazy? I said I wish I could, but I'm not going. Paris Chaim Levine. I had a big time because my partner has seats literally behind the bench, first row behind the bench, and I used to be a season ticket holder. And you're allowed to want to go to a game. It's okay. Paris Chaim Levine. Again, Paris Chaim. You come to the Shabbos, you're going to see Paris Chaim Levine, a guy who brought over 1,000 people to Daf Yomi. In honor of the chasana of Shimon Eliezer and Hasi Ruth Rosenberg, and to the parents, our very own MDY stations, Mr. and Mrs. Shlomi Rosenberg, one of the people that is the most for MDY behind the scenes. I'm not allowed to say it. He's a big honor, and he gets very mad at me when I do. But he made a tremendous simcha. Waited a very long time for this chasana. I saw some video, a very emotional chasana. They should be zoicha to build a bayis nem Yisrael. Disku livnois bayis nem Yisrael. L'shem l'teferes. L'zeicha nishmas harav. Elazar Menachem Man ben Azriel Shach, it was the Gadol Hador in Eretz Yisrael. My father is extremely close to him. Learned with him every single Motzei Shabbos, and I had the chus to see him hundreds of times in my life. Whose Yosef was today, and has a close connection with my father-in-law, Rabbi Yaakov Zellingol. The Art of the Month, sponsored by Yosef ben Chai Yisrael for all the chusim that come from supporting Limud Torah. My boys, here we go. Unbelievable daf today. A lot of it comes on Amud Beis. Real hashkafa and musar, good stuff. We're holding the last words on Ein Tes Amud Beis, Omer Shlakish, top of Pei Amud Aleph. So yesterday we're learning about children, young children that are attached to their mother. That's a raya that it's their mother. The Mishnah goes into the Gemara, says once you see that a child is attached to a certain woman, you don't have to bring a raya and bring a yichus brief and see what her yichus is, and is she ruya, not, tame, not. We know that these are her children. And Rish Lakish explains, this is referring to only in terms of somebody eating truma and challah. Is this woman, are these children hers so they could eat truma if she's married to a kohen? What's going on there? Who are these children exactly? You see that they have a relationship. They're together. So, talking about challah, just it reminds me, one of the, they have these videos. I don't like to see anything that has to do with the tsaras. I see the good stuff. So one of the videos everybody saw yesterday was the mother of the soldier that was released. She did Afrosh's Chala. It's in a very, if you didn't see it, it's a very emotional video. She's Mafresh Chala and she cries a lot. And she screams, Takadosh Baruch Hu, help us, save our daughter, save our daughter. And the next day, she was released.
It was the first time she did.
It was the first time she was Mafresh Chala. Very good. I didn't know that. How do you? She wore like a tichel. I didn't know that. You're saying it's the first time she's Mafresh Chala, but she said it beautifully, as if she's a pro. She said, I guess she's Israeli. She knows how to read well. And she screamed at HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She spoke one-on-one with him. It was a very, very emotional video. Anyway, the fact that a child holds on to his mother is a good raya that he could eat truma, he could eat challah. Challah is also a type of a truma, but not to prove that this kid is a kain. So let me ask you a question.
Wait. Is eating truma but not a kohen?
To marry, yichus. You could eat some truma, but it doesn't mean that you can marry the daughter is right. We don't know about yichus. You can't prove yichus based on the fact that a child's holding on to the mother. So just think about this for a moment. We talk a lot about chazaka. People have a chazaka. People have chazakas that they're healthy. People have chazakas that they're alive. Different chazakas. Could you kill a human being based on a chazaka? I have a chazaka. This and this happened. Chazaka. Is it strong enough to kill another human being? Can you go to Bez and say, I have a chazaka, this is what happened, or this is the situation, I want to kill this person? Yes or no, anybody? L'chayr, you would say no. But the answer is yes. Well, what's the chazaka? That they're Amalek? I guess, Amalek. What about a Jew? I'll tell you, yeah. If a brother has a relationship with his sister, you kill them. How do you know the brother and sister? What, you were there at the birth? You have Edom? That's a chazaka. Chazaka. You see them together. Everybody knows. It's been known that they're the brother and sister. Based on that, you're going to kill a brother and you kill them. It's not something you think about right away. Says the Gemara. V'az Rabbi Yochanan Tamei, and Rabbi Yochanan goes according to his own shita. D'Omer Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, Malkin ala chazakas. Based on a chazaka, you could give a guy malchus. Soiklin v'sorfin al chazakas. You could give a kid. You could give a person skila. You could give him sreifa. Misa as bezdin based on a chazaka. And ve'ein sorfin truma al chazakas. That's unbelievable. You can kill a person based on a chazaka, but you can't burn truma based on a chazaka, and we'll see what that is. Says the Gemara, Malkin al chazaka is Rav Yehuda, Dom Rav Yehuda. Dom Rav Yehuda huchzik nida b'shchinisea, bala loika leo mishum nida. In those days, it was a little different than today. In fact, a nida would wear special clothes. You'd walk around the street, no busha. I'm a nida now. They had nida hotels. Actually, they had different. It was a little different than today. If the neighbors, they know for whatever reason that this woman is a nida, then you could give the husband malchus for being with her. There's different shilas. On the one hand, let's say, just as a practical example, you go, let's say, to a bris and you see the woman, she's a kvater, and she, instead of passing the baby to her husband, she puts the baby down on a table, and then what? This? It's fine. So there's a nida in whether or not, let's say she's just embarrassed and she didn't really mean it. Does that make her usher to husband because now people are made on her? I saw in the Shach says that sometimes a woman will pretend that she's a nida because she doesn't want people to think that she's pregnant because of an ayin hara, whole thing. And he says that he holds that it's mother. I'm not a rav and I'm not passing anything. I'm just saying interesting situations where people assume a certain thing about a person. She's a nida, and that creates a fact. You could give the husband malchus based on that. Cycle and servant al chazakos, al chazakos, k'derav Rav Huna, ish v'isha, tinog v'tinog shigdilu b'tech habayis, v'skolm zelze. If you have a brother and sister that grew up in the same house, so you have a son who's together with his own mother, you give him skila. Maybe it's not his mother. Well, you did a DNA test. How do you know? They grew up as a mother and son. Skila. If a father is with his daughter, how do you know he's the real father? Prove it. Maybe the mother was mizana. I don't know what. No, they have a chazaka. There's the father, there's the daughter. They get sreifa. There's a story with a woman that came to Yerushalayim, and a child was on her shoulder. She was holding the child, and she brought him up. It was mamish, her son, ubala, and they had a relationship. Based on a chazaka. Nobody asked her, nobody's at the hospital. They saw that she brought him up, and they assumed that she's the mother, he's the son, and because they had a relationship, they gave them skila. Not because we were certain, and that's our sugya we started, because we saw that he was attached to her as a mother, and based on that, we made a chazaka, and we killed him. From truma, ala chazaka but we don't burn truma. We'll kill a person, but not truma based on a chazaka. This is a different type of chazaka. Why? We have machlokes between Reb Shimon, Rish Lakish, and Reb Yochanan. Reb Yochanan says you don't burn. And they both go according to their own reasons. The snan. I don't know. I just threw this in. Why not? So you have a child that is holding on to a piece of dough, and there's a whole bunch of dough next to him. So now you have to assume, how did he get the dough? Well, there's different possibilities. If you really want, maybe an adult gave it to him. Most likely, he went and he grabbed dough out of the bowl. Now, the tinoik, what is he? What status does he have? It's very interesting. We're going to see that based on Rashi, the tinoik, we'll see in a second. A baby likes to play in the garbage. And what do you have in the garbage? A bunch of shrotzim. Happens to be that we have, we'll just skip this for a second. Let me see if I can get to the next one. No. Oh, here we go. This guy. This is new for today. I had my own chart, and Yoshi did this. I actually stayed up really late in Eretz Yisrael to do this. This is a Shmona Shrotzim. You have the weasel, hedgehog, mouse, chameleon, the toad, which is tzav. In Hebrew, tzav is a turtle. So we're going to get rid of that guy. It's not a turtle, it's a toad. Now, a toad is not a frog. It has to be a frog is tahar and a toad is tameh. Even though, if you Google it, they look identical. They basically are the same. They look the same, they act the same. They're slightly different. One is a toad, one is a frog. This is only for illustrative purposes only. And one is tameh, one is tahar, and it's neged to our sugi later on. Then you have the lizard, you have a mole, and you have a snail. Rabbi Isai, which one is the epitome of a sheretz? The lizard. Lizard is the epitome. Everybody thinks it's the mouse. The lizard is the sheretz. Okay. Thing is that this kid is playing around the garbage can, and there's one of these guys that's dead in the garbage can. That frog, kid, like one of my friends, his mother, like some kids, like the mother takes out coins out of the pocket. I had a friend, his mother used to take out cockroaches and stuff like that. He's a collector, a big collector. Kids, especially Israeli kids, you never seen like Israeli kid play with a mouse, run after each other, throw it. Okay, fine. So the kid, according to Rashi, has a chazaka that he's tameh because he plays around the garbage with these shrotzim. Tais brings up a very interesting point. And he says, mamish like that, he says, the derech is, and we know today also, that, what's his lashon here? Here. Mishum the noshim nidois, megapefois umenashke soisoi. What is the typical one? Oh, he's so cute, picks up the baby. How many times during the kid's life, the little baby, you're not going to put him in a mikvah. So from the time he's born until the time of whatever, he's 2 years old, it had to be that a nida touched him, and memele he's tameh. Has to be. That's Taisa's thing. How does Rashi get out of it? I don't know. Rashi says, no, it's possible that perhaps he touched a sheretz, which is less matzah. Okay. My time of the Remeir. So what's going on here? Again, we have a kid that most likely touched a dead lizard or a mouse, and he took a part of the dough out, and therefore all the dough became tameh. You shouldn't be eating this dough if you're a kohen, if you're makbid on tumah. Because there's a rive of babies who mess around in the garbage. And there's a small amount that do. So it goes like this. Everybody's take a look over here. There's a Yisoid in Shas that Remeir's Chayish L'Miyuta. Throughout Shas, Remeir is always concerned about a small percentage. For instance, when it comes to a Yavam, he says that if a Yavam that's a minor shouldn't do Yibum, because perhaps we'll find out that he's not even capable of Yibum because he's a Saris, and therefore he was Pagea be Eishesach. He's concerned for the 1 in 1,000 kids that are Saresim. Maybe he's that one kid. It's a Miyut Shebemiyut. Okay, so here also we're concerned about perhaps there's a small amount of kids that don't touch the dough. That don't touch the shratzim. You have dough that start out tar. You have a miyut that don't touch. And memela, I have no reason to believe that the dough is tamei. Therefore, Meir says it's tar. You take two things together. You take the roiv, the chazaka of. Now it happens to be like this. Typically, we're going to see in a second. If you have a roiv and a chazaka against each other, how do we paskin? Roiv or chazaka? Roiv is in the Torah. Rabban lahatois, roiv. Chazaka, I'm not saying that's the reason. Roiv wins. Roiv beats a chazaka. But over here, together with the chazaka, you have a chazaka. And you have a roiv against it that most children touch shratzim. You have a chazaka that this dough is kosher. So the roiv of shratzim should beat the dough and make the dough tummy. Yeah. But Remeir cares about the miyut. So you add a little bit of the miyut together with the chazaka. Now the chazaka becomes stronger than the roiv.
It's a combination of the roiv and also that the kid actually touches it.
Here, right over here, you have the roiv and chazaka. Roiv wins. But now we're going to take a little bit of the miyut and put it onto the scale. I did this, not Yoshi. If Yoshi would have done it, we would have had it all animated. Take a little bit of the miyut, put it on top of the chazaka, the blue, and the scale is going to go downwards and beat the roiv because it's two things. It's chazak and miyut versus the roiv. Says the Gemara. Put the miyut on top of the chazaka. And it says over here it's a bad roiv also because you never saw the kid doing it. It's not in front of you. Okay, fine. Rabbanan say it's not true. When you have a roiv and a chazaka, you don't care about the miyut at all. The miyut is as if it doesn't exist. Ruba chazaka, ruba adif, as you see over here, that the roiv beats the chazaka. Or Zui shesar from Alesa Truma. There's a case that we burn the truma. You can't burn the truma, but you won't eat it. What is the Bryce talking about in a case that you could burn the truma? Goes like this, or voice side like this. You ready? It's a little bit of a gross scene. This is a Yoshi special for today's year. You guys ready? Couple jukim. Now look what happened to the frog. He left his leg behind. You see that? He jumped into the dough. This is what the Gemara says. I don't know how it works, but the frog jumped into the dough and left his leg behind. It's a messed up house. There's shrotzim everywhere. There's frogs everywhere. Mam's disgusting. We found a chaticha. What's a chaticha? We found a leg of this thing inside the isa. You gotta visualize it. So now you have a chazaka that's called chazaka disikaman. Let me see if I have it. Ruba disikaman. You have Whereas by the child, it wasn't come on. Over here, it's in front of us. It's there. Im roiv shrotzim tmeya. If most of the house is full of shrotzim, I don't even want to go there. I'm in real estate. I can tell you stories from today to tomorrow of houses, of apartments that I saw in my life. You wouldn't believe that people live in certain conditions. Im roiv shrotzim tmeya. Im roiv tzvardim tahira. See here, now you have to go back to that chart. We're not going to go back to it because it's too much for me. Go back over here. But I'll go back. I don't have it here. You see this guy? There's a toad and there's a frog. If most of the guys hanging out in this house are frogs, so it's tar. If most of the guys hanging out in the house are toads, then it's tamei. That's all the Gemara is saying here. This tzvardim, a tzvardeya, is not tamei. Tzvardeya is a frog. That's what they had in Mitzrayim. So what's a tzav? A tzav is a toad. Toad is tamei. Now you see that they're very similar. You find a leg. I don't think it's a mouse leg. I don't think it's a lizard's leg because it looks like a frog's leg, but it could be a toad's leg. You see, they're very similar. One is tamei, one is tar. So I have to go by the Rav. Tanya give us the Rabbi Yochanan. If this grosses you out, we're going to be done. It's Daf Yomi. Next sugya. Tanya give us the Rabbi Yochanan. We have right the Rabbi Yochanan. Shnei dvarim mem das lishal. V'som chacham kimosh yesh mem das lishal. Okay. Yesterday we were talking about it. We'll go over it for the new guys. The Saita. Saita is a woman whose husband told her not to seclude herself with another man. She didn't listen. She secluded herself. We don't know exactly what happened there. We saw a seclusion. We didn't see a Maisa. That's a suffix in a Rishus HaYachid. Suffix Rishus HaYachid Tameh. That's a Yisoid that we learned. We go all the way here. See? Oh, suffix Tuma Rishus HaYachid Tameh. Suffix Tuma Rishus HaRabim Tahar. So, we learn from a Saita because she is called Tameh. She's a Tmeya. And it happened in a private house. It's Rishus HaYachid Tameh. So we learn from all the entire Torah. If you have a suffix Tuma, you don't know if the frog, if it's a toad, and it happened inside a house, which usually happens, automatically it's Tameh. So says the Gemara, when it comes to the child who touched dough, and we don't know if he was Tameh or not, once upon a time in his life, he touched a dead lizard or a dead frog, a dead toad, so maybe he's Tameh, and then we know for a fact he grabbed a handful of dough, so perhaps the whole dough is Tameh, maybe it's not Tameh. What is that called? Suffix Tuma B'Rishus HaYachid. The halacha should be Tameh. The problem is that he's not similar to a Saita. Why? Because Saita is an adult. Saita is an intelligent person. You could ask her what happened, what didn't happen. She could answer you. This child is a year old. He has no clue what you're talking about. So you can't ask him. So he's not similar to a Saita. In two cases, we said we don't care because it's so obvious what the outcome is that we don't even have to ask questions. In the case of a tinoik, especially according to Tosfos, what is the likelihood that he's not tamei from a nida? 0.5%, maybe. What's the likelihood that you lived in those days and I don't know where the sewer system was and I don't know where the garbage can, they didn't have a garbage truck that comes every Monday and takes your garbage. There was big piles of who knows what and people walking around everywhere in the mud. What's the likelihood that a 2-year-old didn't touch a dead sheretz? Also 0. So Mela, you don't have to ask him. They're like adults that you can ask questions. Tinoik, that's the story that we just said with the dough. Void acheres, and one other story that we're going to get into it. Tinoik oda amora. We made the baby as if we could ask him questions. Void acheres mai. Isa b'toich habayis. Here, again, this is not Yoshi. Once we get onto a normal schedule, we'll have all Yoshi. So here, a bunch of chickens eating from dough. Nikurim be'isa. You look at the dough, and you can look at this picture also. I found a decent picture. You can see that they made a mess with the dough. There's different places in the dough that they ate from. And there's water. Now, the yellow glass of water, yeah? They're going to drink. What? They're thirsty. They ate a lot of dough. They're going to want to drink. So maybe they drank the tummy water and they had water on their beak. And when they pecked at the dough, the tummy water went into the dough and now the dough is tummy. I don't know. So therefore, you say it's a suffix. Now you can't ask a chicken. A chicken doesn't have das l'shal, so it's not similar to saita. So the halacha would be that suffix tuma b'rishus yachid in that case is not tame. But because it's so obvious, this is a nice drink of water for them, and they're busy eating. Of course, they took a little bit of a drink, and of course they made the dough tame. That's only when the drink is white. Doesn't say clear, white. But if it's red, well, you could just look in the dough and see if there's any red spots. So obviously, if it's red, let's say wine, we're not so concerned. Says the Gemara, who told you? Maybe it just got absorbed in the dough and you don't see it anymore. It's red. You heard this from a Golad Dar. What you didn't hear the explanation? I'll tell you the explanation. And this is La Halacha. So if you look at the side of this, on the side over here, I put two reds, just made it up, again, for illustrative purposes only. One red is like a clear red, and you can see the reflection of a baby in it. So if you cannot see the reflection of the baby, it's so dark, then it's not going to get absorbed into the dough. And if they drank from it, you would see it, and therefore the dough is tar. But if it's clear, then and you can see reflections in it, then it's possible that the chicken drank from it and then pecked into the dough, and it disappeared in the dough. You wouldn't be able to tell, and it's not a raya that it's not tummy. It is tummy. Fine. Brand new Mishnah, brand new sugya, new Masechta, basically, right here. Lo yisyachid adam im shtei nashim. We're talking about Isser Yichud. Isser Yichud. So typically speaking, Yichud is you're not allowed to be with another woman who's asar on you. The sheer Yichud is, according to some shittas, 35 seconds. The most doichak shita is 1.5 minutes. But we probably should be makbid on 35 seconds. David HaMelech came along and he said also, you're not allowed to be misyachid even with a pnuya. There was a brisker who went into an elevator, and right before the doors closed, a woman jumped in and the doors closed. And he started going crazy. So he was thinking to himself like this, I should probably kill her. Because every moment that I'm in the elevator with her, I'm over an Avera. And if I kill her, I'll just be over one Avera. Then he said to himself, kill her, Meshuggah, I'll just kill myself. It's a lighter Isser. But you're not allowed to kill yourself. But it happens to be that Isser Yichud is Yaharig Val Yavar. So maybe you do have to kill yourself. So then he had a Eitzah. He said, I'll just be Makadasher. Makadasher. And by the time he thought about that, the door opened up and the whole thing was over. Fine. There's problems. Yeah. So they say elevators, since it can open up on any given floor, it's not they have different things. There's another Shaila. Even on an elevator, some elevators have video cameras. Is a video camera an anti-yichud device? In other words, if there's a video camera in this room right now, there's a video camera, am I allowed to be misiach in this room? Yes or no? So they say, and again, I'm not passing anything. I'm just throwing things out there for you to figure out later on. I saw someone once say that if somebody's watching it consistently, like in Eretz Yisrael in the war, they have those tatzpaniyot, the girl that came home yesterday. She was a tatzpanit. Her job was to look at video, and they give it only to girls because women are much better at it. They're able to sit for much longer and concentrate longer, whatever it is. So, to somebody watching the video camera, great. But if it's one of these video cameras like this, I could go back and watch it if there's an issue. So that doesn't really deter people to that point. And Mamela, they say it's not the best thing in the world. Okay. So it says in the Mishnah, Lo yisyachid adam im shtei nashim. One man cannot even have yichud with two women. The Gemara is going to explain. Why? Because basically he could convince them, he could persuade them. It's not good that there's two. It's hard to remember, but maybe when we see the reasoning of the Gemara, it will be easier to remember. Two men are not likely to sin in front of each other, but two women you could persuade them. If his wife is there, then it's not a problem. They could go to sleep in an inn together. Why? He's worried about his wife. A person has no problem, he has no taiva for his own mother, for his own daughter, and there's no isser yichud. What about a sister? A sister also is not a problem of yichud. Shach is not brought down in the Mishnah. And this is a very, very important answer. And it's negei l'maisa. Because the isser yichud for a sister is different, and it expires at a certain time. I think the halacha is 30 days. And it's negei l'maisa. Some people will be in the same house for 30 days, more than 30 days. By a sister, it expires. After 30 days, there is an isser yichud. By a daughter and a father and a mother, there's no isser. A daughter and a mother, there's no isser forever. V'yashen imayim b'kiruv basar. You could sleep skin to skin. There's no taiva, there's no isser. V'imigdilu, and this is talking about a young kid. The Gemara is going to go into the age. V'imigdilu, once they get older, zu yishenu b'chsusa, she has to wear some pajama. V'zu yashen b'chsusai, fine. Says the Gemara, my taima, what's the difference between a man and a woman? How come 2 women and 1 man is asur, and 2 men and 1 woman is mutter? My taima, because women are easier going. They have das kal. By the way, this is not something that I think anybody could say. You need Eliyahu Hanavi to say it. Otherwise, all the feminists will get up and start screaming here. So it's Tana Deve Eliyahu. Only Eliyahu Hanavi can say something like this. Nashim daitan kalos. That's their nature. Now, we're almost at the end of Kiddushin. I once had this idea that I was going to give Shalom Bayis tips, but who am I to give? I'll give a Shalom Bayis tip all the way at the end of Kiddushin. I think this is a very important tip. I don't know this from experience. I just heard from other people that this is emes. But it's so pashut and so true, and it fits in here a little bit. I might as well just say it. That women, wives, all they want really, not all they want, but one of the big things that they want to hear compliments all the time. They're this, they're that, amazing that. We're not going to go into, you know what I'm talking about. Now, the problem is, and here's the tip, they want to hear it over and over to the point that a lot of people, they try it. They say, oh, you're so this. And she says, you're lying. And the guy goes, yeah, you're right, I'm lying. Or, ugh, I tried, and why are you haggling shining? No, when they say you're lying, they just want to hear it again. And then again. And finally, they'll chop it. And they have to say it again, like 10 minutes later also, and every hour. But that is because that's how women are built. I'm like, just give me 8. Am I right or wrong? Emes? My wife is used to it. I'm not saying from experience. I heard this from other people. Again, the eitzah is, try it out. Give a compliment. But when you get rejected from the compliment, that's natural. That's how they are. You don't speak because you don't know what I'm talking about. You say it, again, that's the eitzah. Okay. Fine. That's my tip for Masechet Kiddushin and for all of Seder Noshim. But you're not going to get any marriage tips from me. Mishum Rabbi Shmuel remez lichud min haTorah minayin. How do I see this idea of Isser Yichud in the Torah? Just a hint. Shenemar ki sischa achicha ben imecha. So let's see the pasuk. It's a very long pasuk. I took a lot of it out. Ki sischa achicha ben imecha yuvincha. If your brother from your mother's side will try to persuade you to do avodah zarah, or maybe your son. It's amazing if you think about it. Like, you could hear, like, somebody tells you, listen, let's do avodah zarah. You say, it's avodah zarah. He says, no, but everybody holds of him. It's geschmack. It's a good avodah zarah. You know how many yeshuas you see when you do it? Yeah, it seems like avodah zarah. Trust me, it's not avodah zarah. You'll mamish get a big yeshua if you do it. That's what it means. He's convincing you to do something bad. How do you convince someone to do avodah zarah? We don't know. It doesn't even make sense to us. But there's such a thing. You could do it. But the Torah uses an interesting lashon. Tell me, when your friend is going to try to persuade you, this one's going to, what's your brother from your mother? What's shy? Your brother, and your brother from your father, not, and your brother from your father and your mother, not. Anybody could persuade you. What's this brother from a mother? So the Gemara learns like that's what the Gemara is saying. It's not mafurish. It's a remez. It's a hint. What your brother, your real brother from your father, is not going to. How do you get to know your brother from your mother? Because you hang out in her house all the time. What about Yichud? She's probably not even married. She was once married to your father, but now she's not. Why? What are you doing in her house? Oh, it's a remez that you're allowed to hang out with your mother. There's no Yichud with your mother. That the Torah is coming to tell you that you shouldn't do Yichud with other women. But the bottom line is, but wait, we have a very big question. That's a very nice remez, very good. But why in the world would the Torah tell you that your brother from your mother is trying to convince you to do Avodah Zarah? What's the pshat? You hear this, Rabbi says it's crazy. In this week's parsha, we have something. Let's see if the Olam knows. Where in this week's parsha is there a situation that a brother from a father had a fight with his other brother over Yerusha? That's what the Gemara is saying here. Brothers from a father could hate each other because of inheritance issues. Oh, Yishmael, very good. Kick him out of the house. Why? Yeah, exactly. Yerusha. Rashi says they're fighting over Yerusha. Mamash here. This is this week's parasha. Why? Because of Yerusha, says Rashi. So he tells him, you know what? You're going to take my Yerusha. You might as well just do Avodah Zarah. Let me get you into this Avodah Zarah business. And then they'll kill you. I'll have the whole Yerusha for myself. Even a brother I have no shaykhs to. I'm not going to fight with him in Bezin over money. Though he doesn't hate him. Maybe that's a problem. Listen to him. No. Okay. Don't listen to your brother. Maybe our mission is not like Abishol. Very interesting stuff here, Rabbi side. Terrible tragedy. A person had a child, and the child was nifter within 30 days. You don't have to give him the covet that you give a typical mace with the whole aron and a mita and a levaya. Take him, hold him in your hand, and you bury him. You don't even need a minyan. One woman, two men. Where do you bury this kid? In a basic kvaris. Where's the basic kvaris? Outside city limits. There's a problem with yichud over there. One man, two women, as our Mishnah said, is a problem with yichud. It's not a problem. Even one man and two women could bury. You see, Abishol is not like our Mishnah. What's the obvious answer, Rabbi Yisai? He's at a funeral. He's going to start doing Averis at a funeral. The burying a child, how it doesn't get any sadder. A little child burying. Do you think you have a head for this? Says Gemara, Abishol, Shasaninus Tavi Yitzra. He broke the Yitzhahara. This is a Veltz Gemara. This is a very, very important Gemara. Rabbanan Savri Lo Reb Yitzchak. Domer Reb Yitzchak, Ma Yisoin an Adam Chai. What's a person, a live person, is going to mourn Gever al Chatav? He's so strong, a strong guy on his Chatayim. Afilu, you hear this? Rabbi said, Afilu b'shasani nusay shel Adam. Even when a person is in the biggest tsar, he's burying a baby. Yitzray mizgaber olav. A person always has to fight his Yitzhahara and no excuses. Don't say, oh, I'm at a Levayan, there's no problem, there's no yichud. There's yichud even in the worst situations. The famous story with the Chazanish. Chazanish is an old man in the hospital, and this 80-year-old nurse walked into the room. He jumped off his bed and ran out. He barely tripped off. Rebbe, she's 80 years old. You're 80 years old. He said, when it comes to Yitzhahara, Yitzhahara can make an 80-year-old into a 30-year-old. And a sick man in bed, another 30-year-old. It doesn't work. It doesn't go with these cheshbonos. No cheshbon. It doesn't matter when it is. B'shas aninusa. You hear this? Nachamo. Afilu b'shas aninusa shel adam. Even when a person is in aninos, the first day of the tsar, Yitzray mizgaber olav. Ve Abishol. Yeah, and how does it fit in the pasuk? Man yisoinen adam chai. What's a person going to gain when he's being misabel, when he's mourning? Adam chai, as long as he's alive. Gever al chatav. He has to work and be strong and break the Yitzhahara at all times. This is also an amazing piece. When a person complains about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how can you do this, Hashem, to me? How could I lose my job? How could I lose a child? How is it possible? This machla. A person always complains on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is what the pasuk means. How can you complain on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's cheshbonos? Did this person control himself and not do an avera? Unbelievable. Here I have a picture of a famous bumper sticker in Israel. Kamta baboker, baruch Hashem. If you just woke up in the morning, thank Hashem, kol ashar bonus. The rest of your day is just a bonus. In other words, be happy that you're alive. One moment of life, of kirvas elokim, of saying the ability to say Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba, is worth everything, worth life. The rest, okay, so this tsar happened and this tsar happened, but you're alive. You hear what? It's unbelievable Gemara. Beautiful day to come. How could you have a taina HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Did you work on yourself and not sin? Daya, it's enough. It's enough to be alive. We have to see Rashi inside. As long as he's alive, he has to break his chataim. No, that's not the one I wanted to. Fine. Great. No, it's like literally like the guy that won the lottery. The guy won $100 million. He's on the way to the lotto office, and a guy has a little bit of road rage. He cuts him off, and is he going to care about this guy? Is he going to even look at that guy? The guy beat him, gave him this, yelled at him, dirty Jew, whatever it is. Who cares? I'm going to get my $100 million. You're in life now. You have the opportunity to do all these mitzvahs, all this Torah, all this chesed. And you're gonna worry about this to me. These are all side things. Says the Gemara, and it gets even better now, more interesting. There's a story, the Yitzah of this woman, the Uvda. Says the Gemara, Vapikte. You see Rashi the Ramaskim Rabbanon. Afidu Tovi Yitzrei. Even you break your Yitzah Kedarmis. Yesh Lochash Pamim Shein Shamaninus. You have to be concerned that maybe there's no levaya. Maybe they'll take a dead baby out of pretend like a doll, like they do in Gaza. And they're going to go to a fake funeral. They took out this woman as if she took out a dead baby, but he was alive and well, and she pretended he's dead. Why? To do an aveir with the guy that's going to bury him. Another story says Rashi. I just want to read it because it's very important also. She's crying way too much on her dead baby. Says Rashi, the famous Gemara. I just want to remind Oila. She was upset at HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She couldn't believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would do such a thing to her, that he killed her child. And she kept on crying and crying. It was more of a taina than a tsar. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to punish her, and he took away another child. And then another one, another 6 children, and then she herself died. In other words, don't complain to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what it says here. And now we have to see Taisus. Crazy story here. This is Taisus, the middle of the daf. Here's Rabbeinu Chanal Ma'aseh B'Isha Achas. This is a story. She was crying at her husband's caver, for real. She was very bitzar. Her husband died. There was a guy hanging from a tree. You heard the story? You're not going to believe the story. A guy hanging from a tree, and the king put somebody to make sure that nobody takes his body. And he comes to this crying woman, and he seduced her, and she listened to him. She was over in Avera. She's sitting there at her husband's caver crying, and she's doing an Avera with this guy. They come back to the dead guy that's hanging from the tree. He's gone. Why did the king put him there? Obviously, they had issues. People were taking people off the trees. He said, oh, it's all over for me. Listen to this, Rabbi say. Don't be scared. My husband is dead. Let's just undig him and hang him up there. What Tais is saying is, look what happens when a person, for Navera, what a person would do at a time of tsar, and then multiply it with taking out desecrating the dead and taking out her husband and hanging him on a tree so that the naif doesn't get into trouble. Says the Gemara, one woman with two men. We're talking about people that are kosher. But if you have a bunch of people that are parot, and even 10 people not, have a ma'aseh v'yitziu asar b'mita. There's a story that they took Eishesish. Rashi says she's Eishesish. They took her out in a bed and pretended that she's dead, and then they all were over Aver with her, all 10. I'll prove it to you. 10 people get together and do let's say a bank robbery. They'll steal one beam. They're not mevuish from each other to do an Avera. They're not embarrassed. So they'll do the same Avera with a woman. Name say, I'll prove it to you. We're talking about the Saita. The husband has to bring it to the Beis Hamikdash and give her the Mayim Amarim. But on the way to the Beis Hamikdash, you have to give her 2 people. Why? Because maybe he'll be over with her. So we have just the old from Saita. Check this out, Rabbi say, if you're not familiar. Here we go. It's the woman and her husband and 2 Eidim. Okay. Akoponim. So you have to give 2, says Gemara, you have to be Tamid Chamim. In other words, Ksherim, like our Gemara. Tamid Chamim, not regular people. So you see, they have to be kosher. Says the Gemara, no. It has to be Tamid Chamim so that they can warn the guy, listen, if you're going to be Messiah with the guy, you're going to be with your wife, then the Mayim is not going to work for her. You have to be kosher. You can't be over in an Aver in order for the water to kill her. So don't be Messiah with her, but for that you need a Tamid Chacham, not because it has anything to do with Hilchas Yichud. Rabbi Say, have a wonderful day.